Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another 3DS Game Ideas video. And this time I'm going to be talking about an old Sega Genesis / Mega Drive classic that I loved back in the day and still kind of do. Wish I had a copy of it to play, and that is Ranger X. Yeah, that was a mouthful. So back in the day, like when I first originally played Ranger X on my old Genesis, back when I used to live in DC on Montana Avenue. Yeah, I don't know why I'm giving y'all this, like all of this exposition. I need to stop. But my brother got it. I don't remember how old I was. I think it was like 6 when he first originally got Ranger X, and we were playing it. And at the time, I think I had first played it on a 3-button controller because we didn't realize it was a 6-button game. We actually had 6-button controllers because I forgot what game they had purchased before then that needed a 6-button controller, and they ended up getting one for it. But I remember there being one around at the very least. I think that we had actually like 2 or 3 of them. But I played it originally with the 3-button controller, not knowing that you needed the 6-button to originally play it, and kind of hated the game because the controls felt a little complicated. But then got a chance to play with a 6-button controller, and ended up like loving the game because it felt like really good to actually play it with a 6-button controller, and you could move the little bike thing that Ranger X, the robot, was using. So I would like, and I don't know, again, more exposition. I would like to actually see Ranger X be completely revived and completely redone, and made to fit the 3DS, obviously. It was 3DS Game Ideas video. But what I really want out of it is for, instead of having the bike be on the bottom screen and then your main screen, you have Ranger X and like you have a top and bottom thing going. Because I originally did think of it that way. But what I really like is for it to be redone, and similar to how Metroid 2 was redone for 3DS, and we got Samus Returns out of that. What I would like for Sega to do is go back and give it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 3D aesthetic. It could, again, this is something that they could go the cell shaded route for, or they could even. I'm trying to think. It's not quite cell shaded. It's kind of like a pseudo 3D thing. If you've ever watched Knights of Sidonia on Netflix, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you need to watch it. It's actually a pretty awesome anime. But I would love for them to give it that kind of 3D cell shaded esque design and look. So even if like you're playing it on like a 2DS and there's no 3D enabled, the characters kind of pop from the background, and their different movements and motions kind of just like stand out really well. So I would love them to do that, because that would actually be pretty interesting. Like, and they could do a lot with that art style, because then they could use different angles for like missiles and weapons and stuff to be pointed and aimed at you, and they could also give your character a multitude of different directions to aim while still having the game be a 2D game. So again, for me, that's a wonderful premise. I like that idea, and I would love to see it. But again, that's just something that we'd have to see. I really do want to see that happen, because it would be cool. Because then there are certain boss fights in Ranger X that would be really, really interesting if it came out like that. Especially when you got to fight the centipede thing, and I think that's like the second boss that you face. I'd be all over that. But give it the original control scheme. Basically, your jump button, B, your main attack, Y. I think he had 2 or 3 different attack buttons with Ranger X. Use your L and R triggers for moving the bike independently of Ranger X. And also have a new inventory system added, where you can swap out like a special weapon and have the special weapon be on your second attack button, and that have a limited supply of ammo. And have that inventory screen down on the bottom on the touchscreen, and you can either use the A button to swap through them, or you can touch the screen and directly select the item that you want to use. Again, all for that. That way, it gives you a little bit of balance, I believe, and they can add something new to the game that wasn't there before, that completely was never there in the original game. And it could be a lot of fun. And it could be really interesting. And they can keep all the levels the same at that, especially with the way I would like to see them make it. They could keep all of the levels the same layout, but then they could put enemies in the background and enemies in the foreground that you can face and deal with too, that can give you new ways to actually play this game. And it would all fit on the 3DS. It's not like the resolution is like super huge, so they could actually pack a lot of stuff into it. So, I mean, personally, I would like to see that done. Like, then it's a mech game. And then, like, thinking about the forest level where you have there's a couple levels where the ship follows Ranger X. Like, where he can jump up into his ship and transform into it and control it. I would love to see that. And also, when you switch into the different modes, when you're in the different vehicle modes, like when you're in the bike mode and he transforms down onto it, allow that to give you other options for weapons. Like, I think it did in the original Genesis game, as far as I remember. But give you more options and allow for like people to explore levels that they get much better equipment. Again, I remember this happening in the original game, but they could add layers to it. I mean, they don't have to keep the layouts exactly the same. They can actually add more to certain levels, like as a surprise for people who played it before, and for those who really like Mega Man X style games. So that would be, at least in my opinion, that would be a good idea. Because I would like to see it just redone, revamped, new stuff added, new enemies maybe, throw in a couple extra levels that weren't there. A whole lot of stuff that could be done just to make this a much better game than what it originally was. And it's not like Ranger X was a bad game, unless you played it with the 3-button setup on the Genesis. Then it was horrible. But it wasn't that the game was bad. It was just that it was difficult to kind of do what you wanted, because some buttons, because I think the A and B buttons had multiple functions, and you sometimes did the wrong thing when you weren't trying to. So, well, yeah, that could be the overall problem. But just like give the option to explore different levels, different ways, add abilities to the bike that he had and to the airship that he used. Like, add options to those things, which would be really, really cool and awesome. Like, options that allow you to do more with them. Like with the airship, it just basically follows you at one altitude throughout a level. Like, so allow it to do other things, like allow it to dive down or like fly upward, depending on the need of the situation. I do think that there was actually one level that did that, but I don't remember it very well. I know there was a level where you scaled a building, and I think that was the level it was on, but I don't remember that so well. It's been a long time since I played it. I was trying to think. And they could add in like a bonus mode, like between stages, like a 3D bonus mode that will allow you to use the gyro to aim and stuff. So like one for the playing with the bike and one for playing with the airship, like depending on what you had in the previous level, like in between levels. So like a little challenge mini game that could give you a power boost or give you extra items that weren't available in the regular game. All of that would be great to add to this. So I'm trying to think of anything else that could go along with this. I mean, there probably are many other things I could think of, but right this moment, there's nothing coming to mind, and I think I've gabbed on enough about the game. So if you've never played Ranger X, just look up some videos on YouTube. But that's it, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me, and until the next time, please enjoy your games. Peace out.